America is deeply divided. There are only two sides to every issue, and there is no interest in finding common ground, not even with members of your own family. But as the 2024 presidential election looms on the horizon, there has never been a more important time to have the necessary conversation.
Welcome to the necessary conversation. I'm Chad Kultgen. With me this week is my sister. She's here. Haley Pope.
Okay.
And my mom and dad, Bob and Mary Lou Kultgen. We are all here to discuss the biggest political issues of the day. Now, usually we start off with a rant. If anybody has a rant, would you like to rant?
Do you, Bob?
No.
We were
Okay.
marked safe, by the way, if anybody gave a shit last night with all the tornadoes that hit Oklahoma.
I did see that. But
yeah,
the coverage
saw
of this
that,
always
but
tends to be worse than it is.
you saw that, but no one gave us a text or call to say, how are you? And that's okay.
Did you
It
guys get
was
in the
in-
panic room with the guns and the beans?
It was close. It was in Sulphur, though, that's far away. Sulphur, Oklahoma, and Holdenville.
Mhm.
And 2 people were killed, I think 1 child. What are you laughing
Wait,
about?
you said it was close, but then you said it was far away. I'm just trying to get the story straight.
No, it wasn't close enough for us to get in the safe room.
Mhm.
But it was in Oklahoma.
It's
Mhm.
also like when people, we'll just say people, call Biden both a senile idiot and a criminal mastermind.
Okay, go ahead and just what's the word you're deferring that you guys didn't text or call to see how we were. That's okay.
There were
My
also
apologies.
tornadoes here. There were also tornadoes here in DFW.
Where? I didn't know that, or I would have called you.
Same.
Keep going.
I was occupied.
You are the victim. We grant you this. Did anyone, I just want to start off. This is not one of the major topics, but I was just curious. Did anybody watch any of the White House Correspondents' Dinner?
No.
Did you, Haley? So this is not really being covered by any mainstream news outlet. Forbes is the only one that I could see covering it. No
Because
New York
they were
Times, no
yelling, right?
CNN. Yes.
They
As
were
these
yelling.
people are walking in their black ties and their dresses and their jewels to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, there are massive amounts of protesters outside screaming shame on you in their faces.
Yes.
Because there have been over 100 Palestinian journalists killed in what's going on in Gaza. And all of these, people in their nicest outfits are walking in to celebrate President Biden. People are screaming shame on you in their face. And none of those news outlets are covering that at all.
I know.
They are ignoring that it's even happened.
I know.
I just
Yep.
want that on the record that I truly believe no U.S. news source can be trusted. They are all biased toward their own interests. That said, let's move on and get into this
Why
show.
do we keep seeing a thumbs up or something on our screen?
I don't know. Zoom does that now. I don't know how or why, but it keeps doing it. So enjoy. Okay. Now we start every show with a question from a listener. Are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go.
Hi, Kultgens. I have a question all the way from the great gerrymandered state of Ohio. My in-laws remind me so much of Bob and Mary Lou. My father-in-law is Majah and even has a selfie with the golden statue of Trump. We definitely have differing opinions, and oftentimes I am hesitant to go in public with him as I do not want to be associated with his misogyny and bigotry. My question for Haley, Chad, and Mary Lou is whether or not you can go in public with Bob without him making it uncomfortable with outbursts of racism and bigotry. Is he different in public than he is at home or on the podcast? Looking forward to hearing your answers and for a felony conviction of Trump. Talk to you later.
Why are you laughing, Haley?
So there you have it. The question is Dad different in public than he is at home with regard to his extremist views on a wide variety of things, I guess. Haley, what do you think?
Look at her face.
Haley, are you there?
Haley.
I guess she can't hear us. I don't know.
Yes, my computer.
What's going on?
I can hear you now. My fucking computer keeps telling me my connection is bad from time to time.
That's because your connection is bad, and you should go closer to your router or something, or bring it closer to you.
Okay. So I'm first. Am I up?
Yes.
Okay. He he is the same in public, but I guess not as bad. I mean, there are definitely instances where he'll say shit and we kind of like, "Oh, did anybody hear that?" Um so I mean, yeah, I would say he's a fraction of himself in public, but it's still there.
Dad, what do you think about this? Do you think you're different in public?
No.
Okay. Mom, do you think Dad's different in public?
Yes, he will not do racial slurs, stuff
That's
like
wrong.
that
That's wrong.
in
I have
in
personal
people's
experience to the
faces.
contrary.
Yeah.
Yes.
When?
I remember walking through a Walmart with him and he's saying the N-word around people who are not white.
Oh my God. Well, I guess maybe when he's with me, I don't allow it and stare him down in his eyes, which I do a lot to shut him up.
So the answer would be no.
Yeah, I don't really think he's that different either. Maybe a little more subdued. Certainly there's kind of the mask we all put on when we're in public in order to deal with our fellow human beings. I think he has that. But his is different than most people's, I think.
Well, and it's better not to get him like in a large crowd of people, because then OCD takes over and no filter, and then we're all in trouble. Yeah.
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 All right. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for your question. And if anybody else wants to send us a question, just record it in a 1 minute or shorter audio format. Send it to
by the way, your caller enter there
Yep.
is a racist.
Just send those questions to the necessary conversation pod@gmail.com. Thank you very much.
Why would you say that?
Because she is.
Why?
Because she's from Ohio.
What?
That makes no sense, Bob.
It's kind of like all these people protesting the Israel Palestinians. You know what? If you don't like America, get your fucking ass out of here.
I guess
go live in Gaza. See how you like it.
I guess that we started a rant. There's his rant.
Wait, do you think that protests should not be allowed then? We're going to get into one of our topics, obviously, is going to be the protests on college campuses, but
no, but I think they should all be put in jail. And if they're not put in jail, then what that tells me is that our country is allowing
free speech,
racism. Because
you
they're
guys,
all against
our country is allowing racism. You guys champion racism. Almost every week you say racism is alive and well.
Yes.
Racism will never go away. I don't
think.
But
the problem is these fuckers that are protesting racism when they're the racists.
Not only racism.
It's hypocritical.
No.
If you don't like America and you hate America and you think Israel's bad, get your fucking ass out of here.
Nobody's saying that they hate America. They're simply protesting the treatment of people in Gaza.
Get your fucking ass out of here.
Quit yelling, please.
That's my rant.
Okay. Shall we get into our first topic?
Leave fucking town.
All right, let's get into our first topic. Trump's criminal trial, week 1 of testimony. You just growled? What was that?
I'm going to have to leave. This is not going to be
The first
good.
week of testimony in the
Stop
Trump
it.
The first week of testimony in the Trump fraud trial has concluded with 3 key witnesses testifying. Former National Enquirer executive David Pecker told the jury how deeply involved Trump's team was in using his supermarket tabloid to fuel his 2016 presidential campaign by silencing any stories that might make Trump look bad, including sex scandals involving Playboy model Karen McDougal and porn star Stormy Daniels. Pecker openly admitted to facilitating the catch and kill of stories from both women, paying McDougal $150,000 for her story and not printing it, and then getting Trump's attorney Michael Cohen to pay $130,000 to Stormy Daniels to obtain and bury her story. Pecker went on to say that he was burying these stories strictly to help Donald Trump's campaign, and in any other circumstance, these stories would have been incredibly lucrative to his tabloid had he published them. Pecker's open admissions to what amounts to criminal conspiracy likely come as a result of his deal for immunity in exchange for his testimony. The first week of testimony also saw Trump's assistant Rona Graff take the stand to admit that Trump's contacts included entries from Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels. Both women say they had sex with Trump, but he denies the allegations. Perhaps the most important moment of Graff's time in court came when Trump himself tried to shake her hand and she rebuffed him. And the third person to be called was a bank executive named Gary Farrow, who worked at First Republic Bank. He testified that Michael Cohen, Trump's former personal attorney, was his client when Cohen wired the $130,000 in hush money to Daniels' attorney just days before the election. Question number one. Let's go with Mom. Do you think the testimony of these three people, almost specifically David Pecker, openly admitting that he's involved in a criminal conspiracy with Trump, do you think this testimony helped Trump or hurt Trump?
I have no idea. I feel that I have no idea anymore. I really don't. I'm fed up with it. I'm sad he has to go through all this. It's just a way that the Democrats are keeping him out of the spotlight so that he can't.
Out of the spotlight?
campaign.
He's the only thing in the news. The Trump trial is the biggest thing in the news. How is he out of
I
the
know.
spotlight?
I do hope he goes to Madison Square Garden too and has a rally there. That would be the
Wait,
best
how do you
thing.
think that he's being kept out of the spotlight?
Not being able to travel to different cities. I mean, he's being kept away from campaigning, I feel.
Yeah, but he possibly committed criminal acts. Don't you think he should at least go to trial to prove his innocence or
You
be
just
found
said
guilty?
possibly.
Well,
He
I
has
mean,
to-
we haven't determined that yet. He hasn't been found
That's
guilty
right.
yet. The
That's
trial
right.
is happening now, and these testimonies are happening. This was simply the first week. This will probably go on for at least a couple more weeks. I'm sure there's going to be more people brought to give testimony. I'm simply asking.
Who's the best liar? That's what we're going to find out. Who's the best liar?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you think David Pecker is lying when he says, yes, I was involved in a criminal conspiracy to help Donald Trump win the election by buying these stories and killing them?
I don't know. I was not there with both of them.
Why do you think he would lie at this point? They gave him complete
Why would
immunity
Stormy
in
Daniels
exchange for
lie
his.
too? She's the biggest liar of
Right.
all.
So Karen McDougal now you think is lying.
She's
Stormy
the- oh,
Daniels
yeah.
you think is lying. David
Well,
Pecker
let's
you
see.
think
How
is
many
lying.
people did she
Rona
accuse?
Graff you think is lying.
6 or 7 men? Yeah.
Dad, do you think that this first week of testimony has been helpful or harmful to Trump?
I don't think it goes one way or
Matters.
the other.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Trump's going to win. You know what? The Democrats are fucking up here now. He's going to win New York.
So wait a minute though. I'm asking specifically about what David Pecker said.
He's asking.
I don't know what David Pecker said. I didn't listen to David Pecker.
I can
Okay,
tell you
just
what he
read it.
said. He said,
Okay, so
You
that-
already did.
okay,
So-
so you do
I
know what
didn't
he
hear
said.
him say it. I don't give a shit what anybody on either side has to say, even if it's for Trump or against Trump.
Because
None
you
of it-
didn't hear them say it? You weren't there in person? That's your defense of this?
No, I didn't hear him say it on TV. I didn't watch any of it.
everyone has to make.
What you just told me today is all new news.
You think
to
I'm
me.
lying?
No, I don't. You didn't listen to what I said.
Okay.
I don't give a shit who's lying. It
Right.
not going to make a squat spit in the bucket difference.
Everybody has to make a decision.
Because whatever Trump can't come, he can't go out and campaign in Ohio and Pennsylvania and Minnesota and Michigan. He's still going to win those states. And now he's going to add New York to the pile.
I think everyone has to make a decision
Because-
who they think is lying the least.
It doesn't matter who's lying. He's going to win all 3 of the swing states and he's going to win New York.
Okay.
Game over, motherfucker. It doesn't matter whether they convict him or not. It's
Okay.
irrelevant.
Well,
Doesn't
the
matter.
conviction may matter.
No, it
Haley,
won't.
do you think that this testimony has been harmful or helpful for Trump?
Neither. I feel like whoever was going to vote for Trump going in is still going to vote for him, and whoever wasn't will not. I don't think this trial will matter.
I'm talking about in the trial, in him being found guilty or not. I'm not even talking about the election. Do you think this testimony is getting him closer to being found guilty or innocent?
For
Hello?
week 1.
Can you hear us?
Guilty. Guilty. There's like, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Well, what are you fucking talking about? All
Good
3 of
God.
the testimonies are in his
Yeah.
favor.
Okay, so that's what I was
No,
getting at.
What?
You believe a person
What?
openly
You didn't
admitting
even
that he was
listen to
involved
your
in a
damn
criminal
brother.
conspiracy?
Okay.
No, but see, this is what I was getting at. You guys hear what I'm telling you, and you think that it's helping Trump, but it is
No, I
clearly
didn't
not.
say
It
that.
is definitely not.
I said it
It's
isn't going to
definitely
matter
not.
one way or the other.
It is going to matter one way or another in the
No, it
trial,
isn't.
in finding him guilty
the
or
trial.
innocent.
Just let
The
him-
trial doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's all
We're
quite
talking
compelling.
about
I
the
feel like
trial.
it's
I'm not talking about the election. I'm talking about the trial.
I'm
He will-
talking
at
about
the end of this,
trial.
there are
The
three
trial
outcomes
doesn't
of this.
matter.
There are three outcomes of this trial. He is found innocent of these crimes. He is found guilty, or we get a hung jury and it's a mistrial, which I think is probably the most likely. What I'm asking you is, do you think this testimony is leaning him toward guilty or innocent? And you think it's innocent.
I think it doesn't matter. Just like what Dad said.
I'm asking you to get
What-
out of the mindset for a second and stop thinking
Yes.
about the election. Think about this
Yes.
trial. Is he
That's
going
what
to
I'm
be
saying.
found guilty or innocent? And don't say it doesn't matter. I'm asking you that question. Do you
Hung
think
jury.
Okay, hung jury, Mom?
Well, for the first week, it looked bad. Yeah, I don't know.
I say guilty. I say
It's
guilty.
looking worse. I think hung jury too. Because if you have one Trump supporter in that jury, it's a hung jury. It doesn't, like they're saying, it doesn't really matter what's being said in the thing. If you support Trump, not guilty all the way. It doesn't matter if they got video of him shooting somebody in the head. Maybe a dog. We're going to get to that later. Let's move on to our next
Yeah,
topic.
speaking of which,
Yes.
you lefties kill more animals yearly than anybody in the planet.
Just hang on to your answer till later.
Supreme
do
Court
that?
immunity is our next topic. The Supreme Court heard arguments Thursday in Trump versus United States, a challenge to special counsel Jack Smith's indictment of Donald Trump for election subversion related January 6th. The former president argues that he has absolute, in quote, presidential immunity for, in quote, the official acts he undertook while attempting to overturn the election, rendering the prosecution against him largely unconstitutional. Despite the total lack of any known constitutional basis for this theory, the Supreme Court's conservatives received it favorably, suggesting that they will further delay and undermine Trump's eventual federal trial. Conservative Justice Alito explained, quote, if an incumbent who loses a very close, hotly contested election knows that a real possibility after leaving office is not that the president is going to be able to go off into a peaceful retirement, but that the president may be criminally prosecuted by a bitter political opponent, will that not lead us into a cycle that destabilizes the functioning of our country as a democracy? Justice Ketanji Brown then said, if the potential for criminal liability is taken off the table, wouldn't there be a significant risk that future presidents would be emboldened to commit crimes with abandon while they're in office? Which is true. Liberal justices asked whether he was serious, posing hypothetical questions like, quote, if the president decides that his rival is a corrupt person and he orders the military or orders someone to assassinate him, Justice Jackson asked, is that within his official acts for which he can get immunity? Trump's lawyer answered, that could well be an official act, not subject to prosecution. So we are hearing this thing play out in the Supreme Court right now. Trump has said, I'm president, therefore I should never be able to be charged with any crime as long as what I did was an official act of the United States president. Should the president be above the law that we all must live under? Dad.
What?
Oh my God.
I know.
Are you
I
just
don't think-
I heard every word you said.
Okay, so that's the question.
Yes, I think that the president, if he's doing something that's beneficial for the country, even if it's assassinating his competitor, done deal.
So then if the Supreme Court...
Even now then?
Yeah.
Like now? So Biden
Yeah.
could just fucking whack Trump and you'd be down for it?
Yes. Yeah.
I hope he does
But
that. If
then
the
there's
Supreme Court
then
finds
there's
that...
repercussions. Then we'll whack Joe Biden.
Mom, do you believe that the
And
president
we
should
won't
be a
have
king?
immunity.
Okay. In the olden days, 50s, 60s, it would be
Yeah.
a yes, because they would do what was right for our country
And
to
they did it.
protect us. And they did it.
In the
There were
olden days.
assassinations.
The government shot
They
Kennedy.
shot people. To get the
You don't
government
think
going
that
the
our
right
government
way,
is
I do
now
believe.
assassinating people? I mean,
What?
yes, there are many theories and speculations about who shot Kennedy, who was really behind it. The mafia, the CIA, all kinds of shit. And we may never know the real truth of that. But I think obviously in order to do it, some government agents were at least helping whoever wanted that done. For sure.
Yes.
And all the assassinations that were in the 60s, all the
Yes.
civil rights leaders just getting
LBJ.
domed.
Okay. And
That's who killed him.
Right. But those were crimes. If there had ever been a way to find out who was really behind it, that person would have stood trial for murder, for sure.
Mm.
right.
Yeah,
But
that
you think it
person-
was okay but let me just go into this. For example, you were like, they did what's right. Killing JFK, that was what was right?
100%.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
interesting.
He's one
So-
of the worst presidents we
Right.
ever had. If he hadn't been assassinated,
Mhm.
he would have went down as a piece of shit.
Okay.
Let me take you back to the real olden days when America
Ooh.
was founded. The
Mm.
founding fathers came to America and set up a whole new society because they didn't want to be under the absolute rule of a king who was immune from any kind of law.
You're right.
You are now saying we want that back.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
What are you saying then? If the
I'm not
president can be
saying that I
immune from
want a king.
prosecution,
Don't want a king.
I want freedom.
And we'll get freedom if you get out of line and you know you can get your ass kicked. You won't do it.
but don't you think that part of knowing you can get your ass kicked is knowing that there may be criminal
No.
penalty?
Okay,
Or-
stop right there. There's
Okay.
where your fucking whole scenario. Oh, well, do we want a king? If the king knew he was going to get his ass kicked, he wouldn't have done that shit.
Correct. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We shouldn't, in my opinion, we should not have a king, and the president should not be above the law that we all must
No,
live
he
under.
should be able to whack whoever he wants.
Okay. Mom, you think this too?
You know why? He got
Why?
elected. He got
Uh-huh.
elected.
But we all know you
So he's
you know
doing
more
the
than
will-
anybody.
he's
Elections
doing
aren't
the-
real. Elections
So
can
he's-
be
oh,
stolen,
God.
right?
All right. You want to just argue. That's all it is. with
No,
you.
I don't want to argue. I'm trying to
Then
understand.
shut the hell up.
I'm trying to understand how you got into this frame of reference where you want someone, any American, to be above the law. What about the vice president? Should they get to be above?
No,
Only the
only
president.
the president.
Why
Only the
is that?
president. Because he got elected.
So did the vice president.
No, they didn't. They
Yeah,
got
they did.
elected on the ticket with the president.
They were appointed.
Yeah, but that's
They
what gets
they
the
just were along for the ride. They didn't run on their
Okay.
own, so they don't have any rights to do
governors.
shit. No,
Why? They get elected.
yeah,
Look what our horse.
they can do it in their state.
They can kill in their state, but not outside.
There you go. Now you're cooking.
How about mayors? Kill in their city, but not their state?
Probably not.
No, mayors don't get to kill.
You're now you're back to a vice
This
president.
is going nowhere. Of course, he should not be able to kill people. If that's the way it is,
God
that's
damn.
like Russia.
It's like beating
Yes.
your
That's
head on a
Russia.
But that
fucking
was the
stone
literal
fence.
question.
That's what he's
posed
asking for.
by Ketanji Jackson. She said,
She's a
and
fool.
I'll quote it. I will
Yeah.
quote it again. If she said this, if presidents
Try to do her accent.
I don't.
dare
I
you.
don't want to. I don't want to bring
Wanna
up
hear the truth.
anything
I
that worthless
understand.
pile of shit has.
okay, let me ask you this question.
I
then.
forbid you to interject anything that pile of shit says.
Fine, I won't say her name again. Haley, do you think the Majah justices appointed by Trump feel the need to like repay him in this decision that they're going to have? For
What do you
putting
mean
them,
repay him?
he put them
mean,
on the
yeah.
Supreme Court.
Yes. I
Oh,
fucking hate the
okay.
Supreme Court. Everything that
better.
is happening is at the hands of the Supreme Court. And
Mhm.
yeah, I am terrified. Yeah.
Oh my
Mom,
God.
do you think that they feel some obligation to repay Trump for their
They
placement
better.
on the Supreme Court?
Well, if they do, we don't have a country anymore. If they don't do what they feel is right, then why are we living in the United States?
Well-
I'm ready to go to Mexico. I really am. I'm ready to go somewhere else.
It for a Supreme Court justice, it's not what they feel is right. It's is
what
this
we want.
constitutional? It's
Oh, is that
this,
right?
Is the thing they're asking for legal or not, based on the Constitution as it's written? That
But
really
they're a judge.
is what
they
they're getting to.
judge in
Correct.
what
Those
they-
three women aren't doing what the law says.
Well, nowhere in the Constitution does it say that the president is immune from prosecution of criminal act. No, it does not say that in the Constitution at all, anywhere. Specifically, it's not in there because the people who wrote it were escaping the rule of a king. And they all too well understood how dangerous that is to have somebody at the very top of the heap immune from
kill
any
me
kind of
now.
scrutiny. Well, I don't know. Why is this so harmful to you, Dad, this conversation?
It's not harmful. It's just painful to listen to it over and 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 over.
Okay.
Over and over and
Oh,
over and over and
okay.
over, week
Jesus,
after week,
Jesus.
day after day, second after second. I'm
Okay,
tired of
well,
it.
let me ask you this then.
No.
Why, Dad, do you feel like it's okay to have somebody who's immune from criminal prosecution, any U.S. citizen, president or otherwise?
Just president. That's the only one.
Yeah, but
Okay,
why
when-
do you think that is the case? Why
Because
would you
he's
like it like that?
elected by the majority of the people, and he's doing his bidding for the country.
Mhm. But what happens when he's not? What happens when that
Whoa,
person?
whoa, whoa, whoa!
Quit
Shut that
yelling.
right now.
Quit
Okay.
yelling.
He was elected as president of the United States, therefore he always is doing what's right for the country.
Interesting. No, even if he's doing things for personal gain.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, let
Okay.
me say one thing. Let me
Complete
interject here
brainwash.
one more thing.
And
Uh-huh.
and you're going to throw the Joe Biden thing out there. Well, he was not elected. He stole the election.
Okay.
Therefore, he's not immune.
When you brought up like the Constitution
Well,
and that it's,
obviously that won't. If I'm sorry, Mom. Hang on one
All
second.
right, I am not. I'm done with this shit. God damn it.
That is your argument style. You drop your thing and then you pretend to be
Yes.
mad and you say, "I'm done
Well,
with this
no,
now." You won't
I'm
hear
not
the other
gonna
side.
Don't
I'm
argue.
not going to
Just
sit
be
here and
quiet.
spend an hour arguing with you over whether peanuts are red or green or blah. And
Okay.
that's what we do every fucking week. We argue about shit that literally, when you get to the bottom line, makes no fucking difference about anything.
No, the difference is we are talking to one another to try and
No, we're
understand
not.
each other's
You're yelling
viewpoints.
at me and I'm yelling at
I'm
you.
yelling
and
at you.
You don't see me and I don't see you.
Ooh. Okay, let me
Okay.
just simmer down. Simmer down.
So
Yeah,
blow
I have a
it
good
out
simmer
your
down.
ass.
I have a
Simmer
good
down.
simmer down coming up. Mom, you had something you wanted to say about this.
When you brought up the part about the Constitution, I was going to do this in a rant, but then I forgot.
Mhm.
One of my patriots sent me a little something, and it said about the Constitution that in Article 4, Section 4, basically says of the Constitution that every state is guaranteed protection against an invasion by that our government should protect us from an invasion if it happens.
Uh-huh.
Well, our southern border is being invaded. So our Constitution said our government should protect us. It's not.
And
They
by
have
the way,
failed. And it
Yep.
says, it says if it does fail, then the state can pick up and protect its border. And that's what's going to happen in Texas right now.
Well, I mean, I
They're
think an
tired
invasion
of
is
Biden's
like
failures. They're tired of my Orcas failure. They're tired of Horseface being down there one time. Texas will pick up the guns. They've done it before. They
And we
fought
should-
their freedom and won it from Mexico. They're going to effing do it again. So, see, our Constitution is not being held up.
But an invasion, I'm pretty sure, means a formal invasion from a foreign military. Immigrants
from
trying to come to live
From
in America
securing
is
the
not.
border. It's
Yeah.
it's called protection against the border.
All right, well, we'll see. I mean, that is one interpretation of it, and that largely is what this trial is about.
And by the
interpreting
way,
Constitution.
Kristi Noem's method is exactly what we should
We're
be
not
doing.
on that
We're
one.
not on
should-
that yet.
we-
That's our
we
final
should be-
topic.
Oh my
That's
God.
our final topic. Hang on.
We should be shooting immigrants for eating
All
our
right,
chicken.
let's move to our common ground. Simmer down. I want to ask all of you: have you seen a Netflix documentary called "The Antisocial Network"?
No, but I did hear about it.
Haley, have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
thank
look
you.
at we got. Why do we get a thumbs up again?
Okay,
That's
I don't know. It's
weird.
just what Zoom does. So this
Because
documentary,
we're on the right side.
I want to encourage you to watch it, especially you, Mom and Dad. It gets very into the kind of facts around a website called 4chan. Are you familiar with 4chan, Mom and
No.
Dad?
Isn't that like the memes and stuff that started
It's the
right?
memes that started.
I mean,
Yeah.
like if there was
It's
a
where
certain
QAnon
idea
was born.
when
And-
what?
It's where QAnon was born. The
I
idea
didn't
that
know
Trump
that.
is a savior who's going to get rid of all the
Right.
pedophiles and all this.
Right.
It essentially outlines that 4chan was an online community for internet trolls whose sole goal was to kind of just like make fun of everything and make jokes and troll people. Do you know what an internet troll is, by the way, Mom and Dad?
Just making fun of people.
Kind of undermining any sincerity
Mm-hmm.
that exists in any kind of communication. That's part of
Kind
it
of
too.
what you do every Sunday.
Exactly. So it goes very in depth into how 4chan and these internet trolls decided we are going to make a cult of lies around Donald Trump and basically trick everyone into thinking that he's the only person who can save America. Ha ha ha. And it will be a joke. And then it kind of took on a life of its own and
But
got
he
him
wasn't
into
the
the
only,
White House.
yeah. He wasn't the only one though that they trolled like that. They also did.
No, he wasn't. They weren't trolling Donald Trump. They were supporting him by
Scientology.
trolling everyone else.
Didn't they do stuff like Scientology?
Yeah, they
and-
tried to take Scientology down. Yes, that was one of their things. But ultimately, the people who started doing, you know what Anonymous is, that hacking group?
Mm-mm.
They came out of that 4chan movement as well. Once
Okay.
those key people started getting arrested in that hacking group,
Mhm.
4chan kind of devolved into like the meanest, weirdest trolls. And that's kind of what that community became. And they were
Okay.
doing things like, you know, kind of absorbing Nazi symbolism and all this kind of stuff. And eventually it led to them literally making up lies to try and get people feeling some type of way to get Donald Trump elected. I would encourage you to watch it and
Okay,
see what
I'll
you
watch it.
think about how you feel about some of the stuff you've seen online. And oops, maybe it's not true. It might give you a new insight into how Donald Trump became president. I don't know if it'll change your mind that he's the savior of humanity or whatever, but I thought it did a very good job of really outlining a thing that I think a lot of people forget. Donald Trump was just put in office by memes.
I'll watch it.
All right.
No, I don't believe that, but I'll watch it.
I know that it's not going to change your belief systems because those, and it talks about this too, that once a person is like locked into a belief system, they ain't getting out of it. So even if that belief system is based on memes and lies, you're going to be locked into it until you die. I know
Is that
this,
where you got
but
your memes for
What's that?
Trump, or did you make your own up?
I made those. And mine weren't,
Lovely.
I mean, mine were technically memes, I guess, in that they're images or whatever, but mine were literally just pictures of Donald Trump with
Yeah,
quotes
see,
that
Haley,
he has
she's
said.
falling asleep too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
This is a
Then let's
bad
move
episode.
on. Jesus Christ. Well, it's
This
hard
is
to
not a
talk to
good one.
people who don't want to talk. Haley
Chad,
included.
we
Yeah.
need to go back to just you and me, I think.
Something. Jesus. All right. Our third topic is the college protests that are happening all across America.
Oh.
Protests of the Gaza genocide have erupted on college campuses across the United States, leading to more than 700 arrests since April 18th when Columbia University
Deport all the motherfuckers.
Let Chad finish
when
it,
Columbia
please.
University had the New York Police Department clear a protest encampment there. The protests are largely being organized in an effort to convince these colleges to divest from any funding associated with Israel. At some demonstrations, there were some reports of injuries, but in many cases, the arrests have been peaceful, and protesters have often willingly given themselves up when officers moved in. Haley, should these protesters be arrested?
You're cutting out a little bit. Can you hear me?
I'm cutting out. Yes,
asked-
Can you hear me?
Jesus Christ.
He
Should the
asked.
protesters be arrested?
Yeah.
They should.
Oh, good.
In a peaceful protest?
Yeah.
No.
There ain't no such thing.
Okay.
Mom, should
For
the
what
protesters be
reason?
arrested?
They should be arrested. The peaceful protests
They're
are they're
anti-American.
taking
Okay.
flag
If nothing-
sticks and
if-
poking out their eyes.
Do you
No,
think
if
all
nothing illegal is happening, there should be no arrest. That makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Let me ask you
If-
this, Mom, real quick.
Yeah.
Kent State.
What-
Should all protesters be arrested?
No.
Dad?
Sure.
Yeah? So
Yeah.
everybody at the
No.
January 6th insurrection should be arrested.
They were.
They're
No,
in
they were
jail.
not.
No
They were.
trial.
They were
No.
assholes.
Some
No
of them are
trial.
arrested, but not all of them.
They're sitting in jail with no trial.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Uh-huh.
so the same thing ought to happen to these cocksuckers.
And Summer of Love. How about the Summer of Love? How many of those were
Got arrested.
Probably none.
None.
All right. So
I would like to see stats on that.
you guys are in favor, though, of all these college protesters being arrested.
Yeah.
Well, the reason
Well,
I
no,
am-
actually, I'll go one step further. They should either be deported or shot.
The reason I
Okay.
would say arrest when they start chanting "Death to America." I hate this country.
Where
They're
have they
burning
done
our
that?
flags.
Who
They
cares
do it
about
every
burning the
damn
flag?
day.
Okay.
Where
So,
the fuck are you? Watch
think-
TV.
They're
but Dad,
poking
you're a
people in
big
the eyes.
supporter of freedom of speech, right?
No.
Yes, you are.
You said it on
No.
this podcast many times.
Yeah,
No.
but freedom of speech is one thing. Protesting against the country you live in.
America.
That's
You live
freedom
in?
of speech.
No.
Yes,
They're
it
not
is.
doing
anymore.
anything illegal. If no
gotta go
illegal
down. I'm done
activity
talking.
is happening,
They
Freedom
took
of
a
speech. I like how you're like, I'm done talking. We're talking about freedom of speech. And you're like, I'm done talking. Freedom of speech literally means that you can say whatever you want without legal repercussion. Hate speech is not covered by that, but protest certainly is.
Well, then there
Why
should
isn't
be a
hate
law.
speech
There
covered?
should be a law for hate speech.
There is a law for hate speech.
No, there shouldn't be.
Okay.
Freedom of
So-
speech is freedom of speech.
All right.
There's no such fucking thing as hate speech.
Okay.
So
Then
when
none
they
of these
start
people should be
burning the
arrested for what
flag,
they're
though-
saying.
And if you don't like where you live and you're protesting the country you live in,
Yeah.
your ass needs to be arrested and exported, or literally Kent State, walk out there with the National Guard and annihilate the motherfuckers.
Do you think that will happen? Do you think we'll get another Kent State?
Eventually, it'll
Yeah.
come to it.
Okay.
If that
They brought
president
the
at
national-
Columbia doesn't get her ass out of there and they get someone in there that will take control, that's
the
probably
Arab
the first place.
the Arab that's running a school now.
Mhm.
She's doing a crack bang job, isn't she?
Let me ask you this. Do you think that colleges should be a place where open ideas and dissenting ideas, even to the idea of the all-powerful America, should be allowed to flourish or be explored?
Yeah, and let me ask you a question. Do you think that's what's going on in our colleges now? Fuck no.
No, I think the American university system is completely worthless. I think
Alright,
it
well,
should.
then
The
why
whole
are you
thing
asking
should be
that
dismantled.
Stupid question.
This has opened my eyes.
Because I want to know what you think, and you're asking
I
me what I
told you.
think, and I'm
I've
telling
told
you
you
what I think.
100 times what I think. You keep trying to make me change my mind.
This is
I'm
a
not going
conversation,
to.
dude. That's how it works, brother. One
Okay,
person
let's-
Have
says
you
what they
guys-
like, and then
have
the
you
other
guys
person.
did you guys ever partake in any protests?
No,
No. Where would we protest? in
we
that
love
way?
our country.
I'm
I'll
just
tell you this.
curious.
Protests
has
don't have to
opened
be
my
against the
eyes.
country. They can be against anything.
This has
Well-
opened my eyes in regard to a college degree.
Mhm.
And if stuff like this was
That
happening
degree is
where,
worthless.
where Roman was attending school or where Willow will be, they're not going to college. It's better to get a different job, a trade school, go to a trade school, get out of college.
Then go
College degrees
go get brainwashed by
aren't
these
worth-
dicks,
aren't worth as much as they used
by
to
these
be.
peckers.
This is the
Who's
bottom line,
talking?
I think, with college or schooling, anything. If you want to do a job that requires some kind of degree, doctor, lawyer, I guess, but even those don't really require. A doctor requires degrees, but the lawyer doesn't. You just got to pass the bar. You
Right.
can do all of that shit on YouTube. If you want to learn anything, go to YouTube, teach yourself, save your fucking money, get through that information in half the time, pass the bar, do whatever you want. But especially if you want to do something like Roman, for example, make video games, learn how to code, learn how to do computer stuff, I would say don't go to college. It is a waste of time, other than the social element of it. To have those 4 years, if you're going to undergrad, to like hang out with
I've
some
already
people
thought
and be
that.
on your own
Yeah.
a little bit.
I've already thought
it's valuable
that.
for
His
that, I
summer
suppose.
job.
No,
If his
I
summer-
listen. I've thought about this for a long, long time because I went to college, you went to college. Like there is something that transpires in those 4 years that you cannot get sitting at home behind a computer. I think my kids need to go to college for like the main reason for me is for the social interaction to get the fuck away from us to learn how to be adults independently. There's something that happens in those 4 years. It's kind of like your stepping stone to becoming independent completely.
You found your husband.
And that is so valuable. I mean, I see young people all the time who just don't fucking leave home and they take the online courses or they get a job in trade school and shit like that. There is some kind of a stunted they don't grow up as quickly, I guess. Maybe they
All
never
right,
really
but-
do. They don't
but-
understand independence.
When you went to college, though, Haley, were those professors trying to screw with your brain and tell you, and tell you, you know, Republican or Democratic things?
Nobody is doing that.
Oh God! Now she's
That
saying
didn't happen.
that professors
Nobody
aren't
is
trying to
doing
change their
that.
minds. Okay.
If anything, the college campuses that are arresting all of these protesters
I mean,
are
maybe if you're in
super
like political
Republican, I would say.
courses, I don't know.
Super Republicans, you got to effing be kidding me, Chad. Really?
These students are
They're
protesting to have
liberal.
these
Those
colleges.
are liberal schools.
So you say, but the students that are protesting are basically saying we want these colleges to stop taking money from Israel, basically from any donors that support that war. Then the colleges are saying, fuck you, we're arresting you for saying that. If anything, they're super pro-America. They're super pro killing everybody in Palestine.
That's not the chance I'm hearing. I'm
So
hearing the
hearing?
opposite.
Okay.
I think my perception after kind of touring some of these schools is that you know, the big bad is the actual university. It's the money that is filtered into these universities. It's not the student body. The student body at most colleges is, in my opinion, quite liberal. But, you know, the people at the top, like all these Ivy Leagues, are very fucking conservative.
Yeah.
Their
'cause it's
money is all like white dudes. It's all fucking conservative.
And that's why the white dudes are taking the money away, saying this is insane what y'all are saying. Yeah.
Mhm. All right.
Liberal.
Well, did Dad leave the show?
Had to go to the restroom, thank God.
All right. Well, let's keep talking about college then just a little bit until he comes back, because I definitely want him to hear this next story. On college campuses right now with these protests going on, I mean, college protests have been kind of a part of America for a long time. It is where you can have like these super liberal ideas and go out and say them without much repercussion. These are college students, so they don't have a job that they could possibly lose. They don't have a family yet, usually, that could be threatened in any way. Do you think that there is something valuable in that, having a place where you can express this kind of young attitude that may be brazen, that might be, you know, something that people like in regular public can't do or wouldn't do because they fear that it would have repercussion on their life? Do you think that we need some kind of environment like that in America?
That was a
Yes.
strange question. Because me thinking
I get to do things like that because I own my own business.
Well, do things like that. Yeah, you have your pulpit of Instagram or whatever, but you can't get 10,000 of your fellow students to go gather in a quad and make national news at the drop of a hat.
It's obviously important. It's how it's what gets covered. It's how people understand, you know, tons of people are pissed about certain issues, and it's not just the one person. I mean, of course, yeah, protests make noise and they make news. It's absolutely imperative.
I'll be honest, your dad and I didn't have time to think when we were in college. We had to study, we had to get our grades so that we could graduate, to get a job, to have money to live. I had to play tennis on a scholarship. Chad, you were, how old was Chad?
0.
When we went back,
When we went back
2
to,
months.
yeah, you were 2 or 3 months old.
Yeah.
When we went back to school, I had to play tennis. I had to get my butt out there, play tennis on a scholarship to get the money so that we could go to school to graduate. So our college was not that fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like playing tennis but it was hard. We had no money. We had to get out of there to get money to be able to live. We were very poor. We didn't participate really in any of the social stuff in college. We had Chad. We'd take care of him.
Yeah, you hung out with me. That was your social life.
It was.
I hope I entertained you as much as I am doing now.
Yeah, you did. Even better, probably.
Is Dad there now?
Yes, he's here. He's listening.
All right.
Ask
Dad,
him whatever you want to ask.
Here we go. This is our fourth and final topic.
Oh,
The dog killer.
The dog killer.
This is honestly, I read this shit just scrolling through. I was like, what a fucking monster. Like, this is such a bad story.
my
We're gonna get to
God.
it. Here we go. Let me fill everybody
Okay.
in if you haven't heard. One of Trump's most likely candidates for running mate, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, revealed in her upcoming memoir that she shot and killed her 14-month-old puppy named Cricket because of the dog's alleged misbehavior. In a new memoir, Noem writes that she unsuccessfully tried to channel Cricket's puppy energy into hunting pheasant. Instead, Cricket went, quote, out of her mind with excitement, chasing all those birds and having the time of her life, end quote. On the way home from hunting, Noem writes the dog escaped her truck and attacked a local family's chickens, behaving, quote, like an untrainable assassin. Noem says she led the wire-haired pointer to a gravel pit where she performed a mafia-style execution by shooting the dog herself. According to The Guardian, Noem relayed this grisly story to illustrate her willingness to do, quote, difficult and messy and ugly things when necessary. Instead, the story has prompted pushback from Republicans and Democrats alike. Now, Mom and Dad, this is somebody that you have both mentioned would be a good vice president for Donald Trump. Do you think that still?
Yes, I do. When I researched it, I read some of that, what you just read, but I also read that the dog had bit every person that it had come into contact with. And then you guys have never grown up on a farm. You don't understand it. Once a dog does kill a chicken, it's hard to break the system of that dog not wanting to kill everything that it can from that point on. I don't agree with what she did. I would have tried to rehome the dog. I wouldn't have taken it and shot it. But your dad living on a farm, his dad did the same thing.
Mm.
His dad did
dad
the
there?
same thing. Yes, here he is.
All right.
Now, don't get him all hyped up and mad. That's all I need. Here's Dad.
No, I didn't like.
Just here, they can't see you yet.
I didn't like that she shot the dog.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But I understand why, and I also understand that is a good policy for a VP. And here's why: because the immigrants are like that dog, and until you put a few down, because you know what they're doing, they're coming in here and they're eating our
Hunting our
chickens.
pheasant.
Yeah.
They're eating our chickens.
Okay.
They get free everything. They're eating our chickens. They need to be shot.
All right. Do you think
There, that's my answer.
No, you don't. You
all right,
deliver.
Haley, I know that you're an animal lover. You have 175 dogs. of
Oh,
your own.
by the way,
Yeah.
I want you to do your coveted research. Go find out how many liberals have their dogs euthanized annually.
After holidays.
You kill more people on your side of the fence, kill more puppies than people like Kristi Noem ever will.
How many liberals shoot the dog in the head in a gravel pit?
They don't have to.
Okay.
They do it. They do it so much more mature. They get to take it to
Listen,
a damn
Damn.
shelter.
I don't.
And
I'll even believe what you're saying.
killed.
I'll
Have them
believe
killed
what you're
100
saying.
at a time. Don't want to hear it.
What?
How
Chad?
many dogs have you euthanized?
One.
Let's see.
One.
Max.
Mhm.
The
What happened to
one
Wally?
that bit Haley in the face. Yeah.
So he
Two.
didn't go to a farm. You're finally admitting that.
No, Wally went to a police officer's house.
Where they
I
euthanized him?
tried to rehome him.
Yeah.
And he bit someone there and it didn't work. So then he bit Haley. He bit another person.
Uh-huh.
Well,
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Do you think this changes her likelihood of being his running mate? Do you think she can even now have that opportunity?
yes. Yes.
You think he would still pick her after this?
Yes.
Mm-mm. No
Can you
fucking
imagine
way.
the negative campaign ads run against her? She killed a dog.
No.
She got
What is
trolled
she gonna do? Yeah. What?
so
No
hard.
fucking
All
way.
these Democrats came out with like posting pictures of themselves on Instagram with their dogs, like cuddling
With their
them.
dogs.
Like,
yeah.
look, I don't kill my dog.
No fucking way. Animal cruelty is like the easiest way to get you off the goddamn ballot. No
Now
fucking
I got to
way.
go back to something. When you said how many dogs did you put down? The
Mhm.
one that bit Haley and the police officer's family. Yes, I did. Max.
His name was Wally.
Yeah, that Wally, I did. Max held him for almost 18 hours in my arms so he could breathe better.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had to let him
Yeah,
go. He
I'm
couldn't breathe
saying
anymore.
that
But
that's
I think
fine.
you were accusing me of putting him
No.
down.
I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm obviously pets sometimes get euthanized because they're in pain or they're at the end of their life or whatever. That happens. I'm not disputing that. But Dad is trying to use that stat like, well, liberals kill more dogs than
I
anybody.
know. Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's
This was
good or
this was
bad
a
thing to do.
fucking puppy, a
Yes.
14-month-old puppy, and she's like, he had the time of his life chasing birds in the wild. Yeah, no shit.
But
And
I
then
don't
she
know.
shot him in the head
Okay, but
like fucking Goodfellas.
research a little bit more. That's what I kind of tried to
Yeah.
do, and it said that dog bit everyone it came in contact with. Kind of like Biden's German Shepherds. That how many
Okay.
Secret
Sure.
Service has it bit, and they haven't done nothing.
Well, let me ask you this with regard to Christy No. Do you think it was a smart idea to put this story in that book?
No, probably not.
So do you
People
want
don't
that
like
person
people that kill
as
dogs.
a vice president who is stupid enough to be like, you know what? I need to write this story and it's definitely going in the book. I'm
Yeah,
sure she
people-
had people at
Fucking idiot.
every level. Whoever her editor was probably like, yeah, you might want to take this story out. And she's like, no, people need to know. That, I think, is a bad look for anybody who wants to run for any public office, let alone the second highest office in the United States, in my opinion.
Fucking idiot.
I think it reveals that she's very stupid.
Yes.
Say what you will about it. Do you think it has any reflection on whether she is smart or not?
No.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right. Let me ask you this, Mom and Dad. Do you
Yes.
think it is worse to shoot a dog in the head or cheat on your
God.
pregnant wife with a porn star and then commit finance fraud to buy her silence?
Hey,
Oh, shit. That's
Which is
mean.
worse? Which is worse?
That's the
That's
ticket.
so
That's the
mean.
ticket.
Yeah, that's who you're looking at as president,
Or-
vice
That's the
president,
ticket.
possibly.
Or
The dog killer and
or
the
you're the one that snorted the cocaine and no one even knows who did it, but I think it was Joe Biden and Jill.
well, whatever.
Yeah.
President's
Or
immune from all
whatever.
crimes. That was an official
Mhm.
act, the snorting of the cocaine.
Yeah.
Hello?
God.
I'm asking a
What?
real question here. Which do you think is worse, shooting a dog in the head or cheating on your pregnant wife with a porn star who you pay to silence her?
Shooting the dog in the head.
Interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
Is Dad disappeared?
What'd you
What'd he say?
say? He agrees with what I just said. Shooting the dog in
Shooting
the
the
head
dog's
is
worse.
worse.
Okay. Interesting. Well, that's pretty much our show for this week. Thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you have a good rest of your week. And once again, I just want to bring up that point. Go look online if you can find it for any of the video coverage of the protests that happened outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's
not there.
insane to me that it is not being covered by any of the outlets who were at that dinner, basically.
On Newsmax, they had it scroll, I think, at the bottom. They are talking about on Newsmax, it was scrolling at the bottom.
Yeah, go check it out. It's chilling coverage. The video of it is just these people in their black tie vests and their dresses and their suits walking in as there are people all around them saying, shame on you, shame, shame, shame. There are people who are like laying on the ground as representing the dead journalists in Gaza.
You know which video came out this week that I said, wow, that guy's going to be something maybe. Trump was in New York and he was talking with like the hard hat workers. I don't think it was the auto people. It was some of the workers downtown, the construction workers. And then a reporter had come up afterwards and asked one of the workers, do you have anything to say? He goes, do you have anything to say about Trump and what we just witnessed? And he said, the tide has changed. It's now swinging to Trump. And then the reporter said, and what would you like to say to Joe Biden? And he said, fuck you.
Interesting.
Have you seen that one, Chad? It's
No.
funny. I think that guy's going to go into big
Yeah,
things.
well, I'm sure if Trump gets to campaign again, he'll have that guy on his stage. I mean, I would say this about Trump with regard to when he went and talked to the guys in the hard hats and he's going into bodegas and he's trying to give this image of like, I'm the common man. I'm just like you. I'm like the hard hat worker. You can't be that guy and then also be immune from all crimes. You can't. You can't be a king and a construction worker simultaneously.
Well, I think he's going to bring our economy back. I really do. Did you hear that? He
Yes,
said,
I guess
love
that.
you, Chad. I love
Yeah.
you, Haley. I'm done.
My dad has taken
Oh,
upon himself to
God.
end the show, so I guess we'll just roll with it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again. If you want to send in any questions, just record them in a 1 minute or shorter audio format. Send them to the necessary conversation pod@gmail.com. Before we go, Haley, I love you. Mom, I love you. Dad, wherever you are, I love you. And Christy Gnome's dog, I love you.
Oh, my God.
Mom, I love you. Dad, I love you. Chad, I love you. Going to Hosier tonight.
To what?
Sing. Oh, well, okay. Chad, I love you. Haley, I love you. Bob, I love you.
Hosier.
Haley,
Going to Hosier.
you need to sing a song. Chad, it's
Somebody
your
that I
turn.
used to know.
No.
Is that Hosier?
Haley, you have to sing a song.
No, what? Hosier's take me to church. I worship like a dog at the shrine of your lies.
Nice. That was
Yeah.
your song?
Sure.
Can
Me
we
and Chad
sing We
sang
Don't
like
Need
a
Another
fool.
Hero?
Oh, we don't need
Another hero.
Is that
How about
the-
anybody listening to the Tortured Poets department?
We don't need to know the way home.
I know
All
that
we
song.
want
All
is
we
life
want is
beyond.
beyond
Thunderdome.
Thunderdome.
All right. See you next week.
Ah,
Bye.
bye. Oh my God.